Hey everybody, BirdBrain66 again at you here on the Cyberland. There's my good buddy Brian Bretsch on my left or on my right. Hello, Brian.
Hey Andy, how are you, sir?
Doing good. Tonight we are going to do the 1947 Tip Top Bread set. And one thing we're going to do we haven't done before, we're going to do the original set as well as the reprint set at the same time. And we'll just show you what distinguishes one between the other. Tip Top Bread originated back in 1910. That was their first card set. They did a Pittsburgh Pirates set for the world champs back in the day. So that's where that started out. But for our purposes, they had a set in 1947, and they featured the Cardinals in that particular set. It was a regional set. I think there was 11 different teams back in the day that he featured in this set. So over to you, Brian.
All righty. Well, first of all, we wanted to give a quick shout out to he's got a couple of names. He goes by Brian on his at Brian we something. Sorry, Brian, I don't remember, but Brickerbro 34 for actually calling it out and saying he'd never had didn't know this set existed. Again, it's a regional type set, like Andy mentioned. There's only 11 teams that were featured. Several teams were left out of it, and because we're talking 1947, we're talking like teams such as the Brooklyn Dodgers and the New York Giants and the Boston Braves, who no longer exist. They either moved or were sold and didn't retain their name, but love the set, and I'm going to show the very first guy. We're going to do these in alpha order. This is Al Brazel, or on the front of it, it's called his real name Alpha Brazel. What's really cool about this 15 Cardinal team set is there's 15 of them. This is the original one, and I'm going to have Andy show the reprint version here in just a second and show the difference on how you can tell this is real and how it's or I'm sorry, how it's original versus reprint. Andy, what do you notice the difference here on the back?
Well, obviously, you see the 1991 reprint there on the side of the card, and also the loaf of bread is clearer on the original than it is on the reprint set. So there, obviously, it says reprint, so don't get fooled. So, but the good thing about this is, like everything else, we have fun collecting. And the reason we are showing both of these because if you sometimes you're just not affordable to buy originals, so you just get the reprint and you can still have the same satisfaction of collecting cards just for the fun of it.
So I like this card of Ken here because of it being a misprint or a miscut, I guess is the better way to say it. Miscut. I've got several of these originals that are miscut, but again, here's the way you can tell. And here's something, a tip that I've been giving people for 15, 20 years collecting, stuff that's old. Yeah, I mean, there are people who are dishonest and I'll let you tell the story, Andy, in just a second that you told about the guy who got in trouble. But what's interesting is, believe it or not, I do the smell test.
That's
Um,
correct.
I love the old musty smell of these because many of these were sat in a shoebox somewhere in a basement, somewhere in an attic where they weren't exposed to a lot of fresh air. They just all have that old smell. And this particular one in 47, we're talking, we're coming up on the 80-year anniversary of this set. Very, like I said, very regional, cool cards.
So as we're throwing some of these players up, the great thing about this set, you're going to see a lot of Cardinals that aren't featured anywhere else in this particular set, which is very cool. So this will be the only place you actually see these some of these names that we're flashing up there. The other thing interesting about this set, there are some notable exclusions out of this set. One being the great Stan Musial, Red Shandies. Let's see who else am I missing out of there. Terry Moore,
Mhm.
Harry Breachin is not in this set. Who else am I missing out of here? But there's several people that are very key to the Cardinals back in the day that are not featured in this particular set.
We don't have a manager card either, so
Right. So basically just some simple black and white photos with the fantastic bread logo. Once again, there's the reprint back, so everybody can distinguish the original from the reprint set.
Well, here comes, if we're on the same card here, why
There
I
you go.
love
I'll
this,
go ahead and let you throw him up. I'll go ahead and talk
this,
about that one for a second, Brian.
not very many Joe Garagiola cards where he's wearing a Cardinal uniform. Love him because of his roots growing up in St. Louis. But Andy, I won't steal your thunder. Tell him about the connection with another great baseball player who happens to be a Hall of Famer with the New York team.
Yeah, that'd be the Mr. Yogi Berra. So if you have seen the Netflix documentary on Yogi, you'll understand that connection between Joe and Yogi. If you haven't, great documentary. So please check that out. Very, very cool. So I highly recommend watching.
Well, I was going to also tell you as we're, showing more of the players here.
Oh, by the way, here's your home run leader for 1947 for the
And the
St. Louis
great
Cardinals,
Whitey
everybody,
Kurowski. Love
and
him.
RBI leader over Stan. But Stan got him in average that year by 2 points. So Karofsky did
So,
not get the team triple crown.
real quick though, tell your story before we forget and go off on a tangent and forget about it. The story of the guy who was selling the fake tip top bread cards.
Yes, somehow, many years ago and before eBay, there was an individual that was charged with mail fraud for actually selling the Tip Top Bread reprints and just
As originals.
as originals. And that was, and Brian and I had talked about that. It was probably done through some publication back in the day. That's the only way you could usually get team sets or cards a lot of times through the mail. So he probably just passed them off as,
Or he set up, at flea markets or whatever,
yeah,
etc. We got these a little out of alpha order because this is Kaufman versus Whitey Kurowski. But what's interesting is that this might
that's,
be the
that's
first,
because we don't know our alphabet.
right. That this might be one of the first examples of the 1947 dirty cap. They couldn't actually
Yeah.
because he's obviously on this one is not wearing a Cardinal uniform. If you look closely at the other uniforms, this one is different. So rather than having him Tony wearing whatever uniform, because I can't remember who he played for before the Cardinals, they just took a
Yeah.
magic marker or whatever they did back in the day, and he's just wearing a black ball cap.
One of my grandfather's favorite players. I'm going to go ahead and throw him up, Mr. Marty Marion, right there.
Mm-hmm.
So,
So I have had the pleasure for a long time working with Marty's nephew, the great Scott Marion, who was a terrific sports reporter in Southern Illinois, has worked for several different publications over the year, but just has great stories about Marty and just a great sports writer overall. So I love that local tie.
here we have George Munger and him and Harry Breachin that year, both tied for 16 wins on the team. So there's your wins, one of your wins co-leaders for 1947 for the Cards.
I love the little ad on the back of it too, where it says, I'm going to take my glasses off because everybody knows I can't read very well with them on. There are 13 photos of your favorite players, favorite baseball players in this club group. Should you get duplicates, and this is what I really love about this, in parentheses, two or more of the same player. Just in fact, at the time in 1947, you didn't know what the hell the word duplicate meant. It had to spell it out for you. It says trade the cards until you have the complete set, which I'm like, what a great, great marketing tip and
Yep.
craziness.
Had to eat a lot of bread to get these things.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Love this Del Rice card. I think his brother Hal was already gone by then. Here's another one of my favorites because this is the one that I featured as a random card not too long ago. How would you like to be this poor guy? I mean, he did have a decent career, but he had to live in the shadow of his father, the great George Sizzler, who
Yep.
was just a phenomenal hitter, played most of his career with across the town for the St. Louis Browns. And anyway, just
There's always a lot of confusion for people about about George and his St. Louis ball playing days. So
He, yeah,
a lot of times people throw him in Cardinal sets, and
yep,
he
yep.
was
Well, yeah, Panini or whoever every once in a while, yeah, you'll get him in that. Or our other one that drives us nuts is Rogers Hornsby uh
yep.
wearing a Browns uniform, but clearly he's mentioned in a Cardinals set. So
There's
love this.
country right there.
Yep. I love this particular photo of him. I don't know why. We often complain about the same photos being used over and over of Enos and Dizzy Dean, but there's just something about I love how relaxed he is in this photo, and this might be my all-time favorite Enos Slaughter card from back in the day.
And then last but not least, Mr. Ted Wilkes. There he is,
He does
ladies and
have a
gentlemen.
Cardinal hat on, by the way. It kind of looks like he may have had on a hat that was spray painted or whatever, but it
Yeah.
is a STL on it. It's just hard to see. Once again, no reprint. So this was again, we thankfully or a great uh, idea that actually was again given to us more or less from the guy who Bricker Bro 34, who said he had never seen it. The guy from Owensboro, Kentucky, Brian. But so we thank him for that. So what other memories do you have? And I know you got another one or two surprises to show us from Tip Top, Andy. What do you got?
Actually, I just have one more from Tip
Okay.
Top. And this is actually from Panini, which says Tip Top, and it's not even the same format, but there's a Stan Musial Tip Top card right there that Panini made. And obviously, there's your dirty hat right there of Stan, because
Mhm.
obviously they didn't have licensing to put the emblem on Stan's photo there. And as you see at the time, he was the outfielder for the St. Louis Cardinals, and it's card number one of that
Mhm.
particular set. So that's one thing I'll give Panini credit on during their run in the I guess what, the 2010s to 2020 or whatever, however you want to call it. They went back and they took a lot of things like Tip Top. What were the other
The
ones?
long gum.
Yeah, the long gum and exhibit and things like that, and made new cards. At least they didn't just reprint the same old version of it. They actually
Right.
came up with new players on some of the cards. And Bo Derek, by the way, actually made an appearance in the exhibit card. Actually, a lot of celebrities did. I just wanted to point that out, though,
Yeah.
because she was one of my favorites back in the day.
In the movie Arthur, is that correct?
Of course, of
Yes,
many.
love
Yeah.
that movie. I mean, love that
Actually, no,
movie
she
for
wasn't.
many.
Actually, no, she wasn't in that movie though. You're thinking of
What
a
was she?
different movie. She was in
Okay,
10,
that's right. That's
not
right.
Arthur.
Well, what? But it was Dudley Moore, though, right?
That's Liza Minnelli, man.
Oh, come on. I'm sorry. Hey, get my trivia messed up, but no, I mean, see
It's
what
all good.
happens. You mentioned Bo Derek, and my brain, starts
You
short
can't. I
circuiting,
know you
and
can't remember anything. So
I
in
can't.
1940, this is 1947, by the way. So the Yankees and Brooklyn Dodgers played in the World Series that year, with the Yankees taking it in 7 games. And also notable in 1947 was Jackie Robinson breaking into baseball and the color barrier in baseball that particular year, and sports overall. And I always have some kind of music reference. So the number one single in 1947 was "Near You" by Francis Craig. And I don't know if I've ever heard the song, and I don't know who Francis Craig is, and so I have nothing on that. But notable birthdays, or notable people, not birthdays, but people born in 1947, was a great Meatloaf, who was a great baseball fan. So
Mhm.
there's your music, one of your music references, and also give you David Bowie was also born in 1947, along with a great Arnold Schwarzenegger. So bodybuilding, there's another sport for pumping iron, back in the day. So Mr. Olympia. There you go. There's all the trivia I can really give you for 1947. But I know you're
Well,
always looking forward to it, Brian.
I am, and thank you for correcting me. I do remember Liza Minnelli and Arthur. Now that you say that, but I'm still just imagining her running down the beach, which like I said, caused my brain to short circuit
Short
when I was.
circuit. You short circuited for a moment.
Oh my God, I definitely did. But and I'll say I short circuited in a good way because it took me immediately when you said that to anyway, because she had the
Cornrows.
cornrow or whatever, the
There you go.
cornrows in her hair. So I do
Indeed.
remember that. So
Close this
again,
out,
just wanted to
Brian.
say, all right, I will do that. But again, just wanted to say thanks to Brian there in Owensboro, Kentucky, because I think we're going to actually turn this into a couple other ideas where we're going to do reprints versus originals. I just happen to have had this particular original set completed many moons ago, and I will close out by saying that if you want to know
Speaking of
outside
that,
of like,
there might be an appearance by Icebox Chamberlain in the future too,
there you go. So where
because
did
I
he
just
go?
love that name.
That's a great name. This was for me, and then I'll close us out. So you got Garagiola in there, and of course you got Whitey Kurowski and you got Slaughter. But for whatever reasons, in this original set, this was the most difficult one for me. And if I recall, I don't think there was ever any short prints. But when you're printing regional cards for whatever reasons, that might be the first guy that there may have been like 75 of these compared to every one of everyone else. And after a while, you get tired of the same guy, so you start you know, at the time you either tossed them as a kid, you traded them, or in a lot of cases you just put them on the spokes of your
And the
bicycle. So
fact
I'm
that
sure
they
a lot.
survived after coming out loaves of bread back in the day is pretty impressive.
Exactly. So with that, just again, thanks to the idea, it helped us come up with some other stuff. Like I said, we'll do in the future, but just wanted to say thank you all again. We're on social media, Facebook. I'm calling it X-Witter now, the X versus Twitter and Instagram. So look for us, and especially if you like what we're doing on YouTube, please join us on this channel. It's free. We're having a lot of fun. We've got lots of ideas coming. Work still drives us crazy, but we're making it a point to do this more often. So on that note, anything to close? Andy, are you good?
That's it. You covered it down, so I think we're good on that. So just
All right.
thanks again, everybody. We appreciate your time, and keep on watching, keep collecting, and keep having fun doing it. And thanks again, everybody.
Thank
Out.
you.